हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम टू द चैनल। तो सबसे पहले तो मुझे इतने दिन कोई वीडियो अपलोड ना करने के लिए माफ़ कीजिएगा। बस थोड़ी सी बिज़ी थी, इसलिए कोई अब वीडियो अपलोड नहीं कर पाई। तो एक और इम्पॉर्टेंट बात, अगर आपको कोई भी मिस्टेक है मेरी वीडियो में दिखती है तो आप प्लीज़ मुझे कमेंट सेक्शन में कमेंट करके बताइएगा। और अगर आपको वीडियो अच्छी लगे तो लाइक ज़रूर कीजिएगा। तो बिना टाइम वेस्ट किए शुरू करते हैं आज की स्टोरी। हंग्री चाइल्ड। With thatched sheds constructed in rows, blindingly floodlit, an old football ground beyond the level crossing had been transformed into Expo 77 to 78 by an enterprising municipal committee. At the expo, as they claimed, you could get anything from a pin to an automobile, although the only automobile in sight was a 1930 Ford displayed under a festoon of colored bulbs and offered as a prize to anyone with a certain lucky number on his ticket. Special buses leaving the market road disgorged masses of humanity at the expo archway all day. Loudspeakers mounted on the poles every few yards saturated the air with an amalgam of commercial messages and film songs against the unceasing din of the crowd. The organizers had succeeded in creating an incredible world of noise, glare, dust, and litter. Raman found the crowd tiresome and the assaults on his eardrums painful. He wished that nature had provided the human ear with a flap to shut off noise. Oh, then how blissfully I could move about, untouched by their incessant ranting about tiger brand underwear or that obscene film song conveying the heartache of some damn fool. He further reflected, I came here to escape boredom, but this is hell, a bedlam. He regretted the trip he had undertaken from Alman Street, but he couldn't make up his mind to leave. The bustle and the pandemonium seemed to take him out of himself, which relief he needed these days. He drifted along with the crowd, occasionally pausing to take a professional and critical look at a signboard or poster. The one that arrested his attention at the moment was a huge placard outside a stall depicting a woman, sorry, a woman who had the body of a fish from the waist down. He speculated how he would have dealt with this fish woman if he had had a chance to design this and other signboards. He would have imparted a touch of refinement to the expo and also minted money if he had cared to seek their patronage. But he was in the grip of a deadly apathy. He saw no point in any sort of activity. For months he hadn't gone near his workshed, which proved a blessing to his rival Jayaraj of the market gate. Let him prosper, Raman reflected, although he has the artistic sense of a chimpanzee. He stared at the picture of the fish woman with a mixture of disgust and fascination, while the promoter of this show stood on a platform and appealed through a megaphone. Don't miss the chance to see this divine damsel, a celestial beauty living half sunk in water. A rare opportunity. Talk to her, ask her questions, and she will answer. What questions? Raman asked himself. Could he ask how she managed not to catch a cold or what fabric was best suited to clothe her scaly body? While he was hesitating whether to go in or not, he heard over the babble the announcement, Boy of 5 calls himself Gopu, cries for his parents, come at once to the central office and take him. For the fourth time, this message was coming through the loudspeakers. He pulled himself out of the spell cast by the fish women, determined to go up and take a look at the lost child must know what sort of a child gets lost. What sort of parents are those that prove so careless, or have they willfully abandoned the child? Perhaps a bastard or a delinquent to be got rid of. He moved towards the central office, cleaving his way through a long queue of people outside a medical exhibition displaying human kidney, heart, lungs, and foetus in glass jars, along with an X-ray of a live person. On the way, he noticed pink gossamer like candy spinning out of a rotating trough on wheels and bought one. It was very light but huge and covered his face when he tried to bite it. Rather absurd to be nibbling this in public, he thought. He held it away as if wearing it for someone else and discreetly bit off mouthfuls now and then with relish. Sweetest stuff on earth, he reflected, holding it like a bucket in one hand, only a few wisps around his mouth betray his weakness for it. He stepped into the central office, which was at the southern gateway of the expo, a busy place with typists at work and a variety of persons rushing in and out. In their midst, he noticed a boy sitting on a bench, vigorously swinging his legs and amusing himself by twisting and bending and noisily rocking the bench on its rickety, uneven legs, much to the annoyance of a clerk at a table who kept saying, "Quiet, quiet, don't make all that noise," at which the boy, who had rotund cheeks and a bulbous nose, grimaced with satisfaction, displaying a row of white teeth minus the two front ones. "Must be 7 or 5," Raman thought on noticing it. Raman held up to him the half-eaten candy, at which the boy shot forward as if from a catapult, snatched it and buried his face in its pink mass. Raman appreciated his gusto and patted his head. Grumpy office clerk looked up to ask, "Are you taking him away?" "Yes," said Raman on a sudden impulse. The other thrust a register at him and said, "Sign here." Raman signed illegibly as Loch Ness Monster. "Why don't you people keep an eye on your children? Don't lose him again. It's a bother to keep such a boy here. Can't attend to any routine work. Now I'll have to stay here till midnight to clear my papers," said the clerk. "You announced that he was crying. He is not the sort, but one has to say so, otherwise parents will never turn up until they are ready to go home, leaving it to us to keep watch over the little devils. It's a trick. Where is his mother?" "Over there, waiting outside," said Raman, and extended a hand which the boy readily clutched. They marched off and were soon lost in the crowd. While piloting the boy through, Raman kept turning over in his mind the word mother. It was tantalizing how he wished he had a wife waiting outside. The grumpy clerk had somehow assumed that he had one. Naturally, Raman reflected, I look quite wife worthy. Nothing wrong with me. An outstanding original signboard painter with a satisfactory bank balance and an honor of property extending on the sands of Sarayu with a workshed. Apart from this adopted child, there was bound to be another, his own inside Daisy, who could say, even at this moment, she might be waiting to send a desperate appeal, "You have made me pregnant." And that would serve her right for being such a bigoted birth controller and busybody, as she fancied, always intruding into the privacy of every home in town or village, remonstrating with couples not to produce children. She had arrogated to herself too much, and what a fool he was to have trailed behind her. Not his fault, really. She had seduced him by asking him to blazon on every wall in the countryside her silly message, no more children, and forced him to travel and live with her in all sorts of lonely places. And how could the vows of virginity ever survive under such conditions? It would be the funniest irony of the century if, for all her precautions and theories, she became desperately, helplessly pregnant and sought his help. He felt tickled at the prospect and laughed to himself. The boy, clutching at his finger, now looked up and also grinned. Raman looked at his merry face and asked, "Why do you laugh?" "I don't know," said the boy and grinned again. Thanks for watching, and we will continue the story in the next video. लाइक करना मत भूलिएगा, लाइक ज़रूर कीजिएगा वीडियो को.